sometimes come in and say hello. And we are, let's see, and we are live, and let's go check those out. Oh, what an amazing Friday. I'm like really, 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 really happy. Happy. I'm in happy land.
It has been an amazing Friday. I will
It
agree.
is. Yes, here we are. Let me make sure that my volume is down. We are live in this source, and let's see here. Yep, we are live. Oh my gosh, what an amazing Saturday. I love the way that we had an amazing time in Cafe Latte Your Love. I can't like now it's like I can't wait for next month. Like more of those, please.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here today. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling like so amazed and so happy, completely happy. So, welcome everyone. It's another beautiful Friday. I was going to say Saturday. What am I doing? It's another beautiful Friday, and like I always bring to you amazing guest speakers. But today we have an amazing, beautiful lady, and her name is Angelina Rivera. And you know, it's funny because when I met her months ago, I think I met you at the beginning of this year, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but when I seen her name and it just attracted me. Why? Because I'm gonna tell you a short story. My grandmother, she passed of 95 years old. And when she was in her 93rd, we found out through her birth certificate and one of my aunts that she already passed as well, that her real name, instead of being Angelica, and that's why I was called Blanca from one of my grandmothers and Angelica from the other grandmother. And instead of being Angelica, she was Angelina. So it's amazing. When I met her, I was like, oh, it reminded me of my grandmother. And I'm like, you imagine if we would have known that like years before then, I would have been called Blanca Angelina Rivera. So we have that in common, and I'm so flattered to have you here. And everyone, if you're watching live, I would like to know that you're watching live. Please comment below live or ask any questions while we're here live. And if you watch the replay, please be more than happy to just hashtag replay and we could come back to you. Because today I bring the beautiful Angelina Rivera, and she's actually a certified Lean Six Sigma black belt. Is that correct? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Time management coach and host. And are you guys ready for this? Host of the Refine and Shine podcast, which I will also be there. And a lot of my friends are also going to be there, with over 25 years of leadership, process improvement. And oh my gosh, because some of us, we actually need help, and we want and desire that help for time management. Because I remember those days that I couldn't, I thought, it's not that I couldn't. Nowadays, I'm like, oh, everything is taken care of. But I remember those days that were nothing was taken care of because I thought that I didn't have the time.
Mhm.
But with with the time management and productivity and the process improvement, she masters at helping busy professionals and entrepreneurs reclaim their time, refocus their energy, and refine their path. And I love this. Thank you for being here today with me. I would like for you to introduce yourself and tell everyone where you're from and who are you?
All right. Well, one, I just want to say thank you for just the opportunity to be on your amazing platform. Thank you so much for having me. And so, who am I? My name is, like you said, Angelina Rivera. I am married to my high school sweetheart. We've been together for a long, long time. And we have two amazing kids. We have animals. We love dogs. So, we have a couple of dogs. We have a desert sulcata tortoise. And we also have a cat. And so we just love helping animals. We love helping others, people with their mental health. My husband has a disability with some mental health issues. So we love helping the veterans. We do lots of things, activities for that. But who am I? I am a person who was born in poverty. I was born at home in the projects, and I rose from being in the projects to being, government cheese, all the things, to being able to make become a six-figure income earner. And so I know what it's like to be from the bottom and to rise up to the top. I know what it's like to be burned out, where you're taken by ambulance from exhaustion. And so that got me into how to balance my time, how to balance my energy. And so I coach. I coach people on those particular things. How do you avoid burnout? How do you manage your time? How do you feel balanced? How do you disrupt those distractions? Because we're distracted every day. And how do we balance that? And so those are some of the things I coach on. I also help businesses improve their processes. I've taught over 600 people on how to improve their processes. How do you look at what you're doing every day and what is what you're doing? Is it the right thing to do? Are you adding value? Are you every time you touch something, especially if you're in the manufacturing restaurant industry, or anybody, anytime you touch something in your business, is it to add value? Is it to move the project forward, or are you actually wasting time? And so just redefining those processes. Sometimes we do things because everybody's always done it that way. But I come in and say, hey, is this the right thing to do? Why are you doing this? And we go down to the root cause. We do some value stream mapping and help you add value back to your projects, to your production, to your services to eliminate that waste, because waste is just, it could be wasted time, wasted inventory, any of those types of things. And how do you make you increase your productivity? Because that's all we want to do is make sure that our energy is important. And every time we touch something, we're displacing energy. And is that energy going to give us value back, or is it just going to keep stealing from us, right? And so that's some of the things I do, as well as, like you said, I have the podcast, Refine and Shine podcast.
I love that. I love that. And you mentioned something about your relationship. How many years? I found it so amazing.
We kind of lost track. We're 30 years, 30 years
30
together.
years. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you. It has not always been easy, but we work through it. We've had our ups and downs, and that's really where you rely on your faith, you rely on patience, and you learn how to communicate, which is all also important with your time management as well.
Oh yes, for sure. Yes. I believe that a good relationship is a mirror where you could kind of like mirror and talk about it. But I believe that every couple should have at least one day a week where they could just sit down and talk about it.
Hmm.
I think it just helps a lot. You have built a career helping others manage time and energy with intention. What role has healing played in your own journey towards a balance?
Okay, perfect. So one of the things I've been through a lot of times in my life where I just would get exhausted. I was always trying to, and I'm talking like high school, trying to be a perfectionist, trying to get the good grades because I wanted to, you know, do better for myself to get outside my circumstances, my current environment. And it's not to say that, not that everything was bad. That I had a horrible childhood. I just didn't want to be living in poverty, or even my mom was able to buy a house later in years, but it was all these things. I was always trying to succeed because I wanted to be a lawyer, or I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to do all these, like, I had these high ambition dreams. And so in order to do that, I had to have special, perfect grades, straight A's, all the things. And I at a very young age started to burn out. Like when I would stay up all night pulling an all-nighter to finish a science project, or all of these things, and I would just get so exhausted. I got sick all the time. um where then you waste time because you're so sick, you can't do it, you lose your energy. And I just didn't really know how to deal with it. I would like started to learn how to take incremental naps, where I would take a nap, and my husband would, his boyfriend at the time, I was like, hey, I'm burnt out, I have this report due. He's like, okay, go to sleep for 3 hours, I will make sure I call you. And he would make sure he called me to wake me up so then I could work on my stuff, because I just didn't, I had to learn how to rest my brain. Because when we rest, then that gives us the ability to create. What we do is we always feel like we have to go, go, go. We have to keep doing the next thing, the next thing. We can't stop. But actually, our brain is not wired to keep going. It actually needs rest. It needs that rest in order to help it rejuvenate and help us to create that energy that we need to keep moving forward. And one of the biggest things that was like a slap in the face at about 23 years ago, I had actually was pregnant. I was pregnant with our second child, and I ended up miscarrying at about 5.5 months pregnant. And I didn't know how to deal with it. They had to, I had to have emergency surgery. We had to have, the DNC and all the things. And what I did, there was no help, there was no resources. They didn't tell me like, hey, there's a support group. There was nothing, no, nothing. And so I did what I knew how to do best. I kept going. I was going to school full time. I was working full time. I had my son was about a year and a half old, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to keep on going. My husband worked at nights. I worked during the day, so we wouldn't have worry about childcare so much, and kept going. Well, 2 months later, I ended up collapsing. I started not to feel well, and it wasn't something I could do caffeine with. It was like no coffee wasn't working. I told I was at the manufacturing plant I worked at. I went up to the receptionist and I said, I don't feel right. And the next thing I know, I was on in the emergency. They have like a first aid room. I was in the first aid room, and there was paramedics and everybody around me. I guess I collapsed is what I pretty much I fainted, and I had fainted before from like heat exhaustion, but I like fainted from burnout. I collapsed. My whole body shut down. I had to be transported by ambulance to a hospital. It was just a bunch of things, and they made me take off work. They gave me a week off of work, and it was the first time I was like, wow, I need to slow down. How can I not take care of not only am I not taking care of myself, how am I going to be take care of my son if I'm not, going to exhaust myself to this point? And so I really took a reflection of, do I need to take this many classes to go to school? I have a decent paying job. Yes, I want to get at that time I was going for my associate's degree. Yes, I want to do that. Yes, I want to get my college degree, but I have a good paying job. I don't need to burn myself out. I have health insurance. I have all these things. Why am I pushing so hard when I'm not savoring time with this son that, is a year and a half, or at that time he had already turned 2. I'm like depleting myself. And so I started to schedule, what am I looking at? I did a reflection on my life. How am I why does this keep happening to me? And learned how to slow down, looked at how I was scheduling things, and I was like, I'm scheduling myself so busy that I'm not even taking care of my own self. And so looked at, I need to start doing some self-care. I need to schedule myself, time with myself first. And that's what I tell everybody. It's not selfish to schedule time for yourself. When you look at your calendar, that self-care is important. When I talk about self-care, I'm not saying that you always have to get your nails done, your hair done, and all those types of things. I'm talking about, what time are you going to eat? What time are you going to do your workouts? What time are you going to just stop and pause and do some reflection, maybe some journaling, maybe some reading, because that replenishes us. I had looked at my life, and I had been the person that would not even eat breakfast. I would grab a bag of chips and a Mountain Dew and drive to work, just because it was so early. I'd go, that was my breakfast because I was going to work at 4 a.m. just so that I could go to school at night, and it was like, that's not the way to take care of yourself. And so that was a really pause. And then I was like, okay, what am I doing for my family? Am I scheduling time for my family, scheduling time for my husband? We had gotten to the point where we had stopped date nights, or and it almost broke us. And I think that you have to have that time together. And I mean, and if some dates nights are maybe going out to eat, or even cooking at home for each other, spending that time making those meals together, that's what it is, having that communication. And then you worry about your work, right? And I get it. Our work, we have set schedules. Maybe we have a 9 to 5 job and all that stuff, but you still, because you have a set schedule, that means it's even easier for you to schedule time for yourself first, because maybe you just need to wake up a little bit earlier to get that workout in. Plan out your meals on Sunday, do some meal prepping, so that you're eating and filling your body, making sure, okay, so I'm working 9 to 5. Okay, so Monday night, I'm going to spend time with this kid. Tuesday night is going to be one-on-one time with this kid. Friday is going to be date night. There's ways that you can work those things out. Because what we do is, when we don't schedule time for ourselves and we don't schedule time for our family, what are we telling our family? We're giving them the leftovers. We're giving ourselves the leftovers, and we cannot pour from an empty cup if we're doing that. So I think that's very, very important.
It's so important, and I can relate so much because when back before I quit corporate, it was on the go, go, go since the moment I woke up. And then I remember that when I was in my transition, because I mean, I started building my company, this one like almost five years ago. But in that transition, I said, no, I need to have like at least 10 minutes before I even leave the house to at least just get it together. You know what? I bought one of those vibrating machines and I will
Mhm.
vibrate for 10 minutes. I will literally vibrate for 10 minutes. But I felt that at least I was moving and it was moving my body. And then when I jumped in the shower, I was already more energized so that it will help me on my way to work. Even on at that time period, I will literally cry on my way to work. But then things started changing. Things started, it just takes little steps. And why
Mhm.
not just allow yourself to start putting it together until you make it a lifestyle? And that's what I did too. It's been an amazing. I love that. I love that. When you have said that true balance begins with boundaries, and also how has learning to say no improved your relationships, both in personal and even professionally?
Well, one of the things that I think it starts with is when we always say yes to something, what do we have to look at? What are we saying no to then? So, say example, we have goals, we have big dreams, big desires, all of these things, and my podcast, for example, when I had to start building my podcast, um, I knew that it was going to take some time away. It was going to take, I had to take some time to record, to create the graphics. Who was I going to have a guest? All of these things. How am I going to produce it? Put it together. And so I started scheduling that time. And so say it's Friday and I'm scheduling time from 3 to 5 to work on that. But then my best friend calls me and says, hey, do you want to go for coffee or do you want to do this? I had to say, no, I can't do that because I'm working on this. But hey, let's talk about scheduling it next week. Because if we're saying no, then it's just a delay. It's a delay in getting the things done. Another thing that I was always one of those people, and it goes all the way back to wanting to be loved, wanting to be needed, wanting to be appreciated from a childhood was every time somebody would need something, I used to be the person that would say yes, always saying yes. If somebody needed me to drive 2.5 hours away for something or an hour and a half away for something because their child was in the hospital and they needed something, food, which there's opportunities, there's ways to get them food through DoorDash and Instacart and all these opportunities. It didn't have to always be me. But I wanted to be loved and appreciated, so I would say yes, and I would go and leave. And my husband's like, "Wait, hold on, we got this going on, or aren't we going to do this?" And I was like, wait a minute, I am saying yes to everything, but I'm saying no to myself and no to my family. And it's also, there's times where you just have to say no to your family too and saying, no, I'm working on this goal. And no is an okay answer. I, you don't have to always explain why, but you can always just say no not at this time, but let's reschedule this or let's see. And that goes all the way back to that communication. Like when it comes to your family, your internal family or making sure that when you schedule your calendar, that you let everybody know what's on that calendar. Like, hey, I got a podcast recording here, I got a podcast here, or I'm doing this. And if my husband has something he's doing, we put that on the calendar because that's really helps with that communication. It really helps with those boundaries too. If he knows you got something going on, or your children know you have something going on, then they understand, okay, mom's working on this, therefore I'm not going to interrupt her. But mom, since you're doing this appointment here, can we go and do something here? Like just learning how to talk to each other, learning how to communicate. But also, I was the person that would say yes to anybody who wanted anything, like they wanted help with their graphics, they wanted help with this. And it was like, wait a minute, this is a service I'm providing, and learning to love myself and appreciate the work that I do and understanding my own value. I'm here helping everybody else see the value of what they're doing. But what is my value? What am I worth? And understanding that I am worthy of getting paid for my services. I am worthy for being, if I'm helping somebody, helping a business, I'm helping, like I can charge for that. And so it's going back to that healing and learning those boundaries and learning what is draining my energy too. If it is draining my energy by always saying yes to these people, by always helping them, and it's stealing my energy, then they're not in alignment with me. And having to say, you know what, this relationship's not working out anymore, or we need to like kind of like realign how we're working together. I need to be paid for my services. And when you'll find that when you're giving stuff to people and then you actually want to start charging them, they're going to disappear really quickly. And that shows that you're really in alignment. They were just using you.
Yeah, I think every interpreter goes through that phase when we're like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
we're done. And I mean, I've been through it too, and it's a different now. Now I'm only available for people that are ready, and
Mhm.
it's just a different game changer when you do that. And you know, what's a simple or just practice for a listener to start using today to create more balance in business and life?
Well, one of the things I say to do, and I always, and this is a free resource on my website that I always provide to people, is you need to do a time audit, right? Figure out where you're spending your time at. Also, look at your screen time. Look at your phone, and if your phone isn't recording your screen time, start recording your screen time. It'll show you. Every phone will do it. How many times you pick up your phone, how many times you're on social media. And I'm not saying that social media is bad. We use it as a platform. But are you just scrolling or are you engaging? Are you doing income producing activity? Another thing is how long are you on it? When you wake up in the morning, are you quickly picking up this device? Because that is one way you're going to steal your energy and you're going to steal your bound. You're not going to have boundaries. When you are in your on your phone right from the morning you wake up to the you're telling everybody I'm available to you, but then you're not available to your goals, right? And so going back to the time audit, when I go back to the time audit, I tell this it's a form, it's a simple form that you can fill out. You capture everything you're doing from the morning to the night. I'm making coffee. I was on social media for this long. I was whatever you're doing. Be honest with yourself because if you're lying, you're just lying to yourself. Do that for a couple of days, and then you'll quickly see where your time is being taken away from. That is not producing the things that you want. That is not, and I'm not saying that, rest is important. Make sure you schedule that rest, but it'll show you maybe you're avoiding things. What are you avoiding and why are you procrastinating around that? And we can have a conversation about that. I offer a free discovery call and we can go over your time audit and see what is it that's stealing your time. How can we work to adapt it? Why are you procrastinating on this? What is the feelings behind that? What is your energy behind this? And we can work through those. And then I offer, various longer coaching programs to work through those things.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It is so important. Actually, it's funny that last week, I was on timeout, but it's impressive. I did 5 hours less on social media. But I mean, social media is part of my business, right? I use it for business. Of course, I'll share my life stories and I share business, but basically it's my business. Um, but it's impressive how much time, if we get up in the morning and just use that time, instead of putting on Facebook, if you use it for a motivational video that you are listening to something, how much it could change your life. Just as
Mhm.
something as small as that. That's beautiful. How can we lead with more love and compassion and purpose in our either for the ones that are still in corporate or as an entrepreneurship without burning out? Because we if we're growing a business and we're leading, how can we just do it without burning out?
I say it starts with the words that we talk to tell ourselves. When we say I have to go to work instead of I get to go to work, you see how that changes things?
Mhm.
We should like it's a blessing to have a job. It's a blessing that we're able to do the things that we do. But when we put that negative wording around it, like I have to do this, it sounds like a chore. We don't want to do chores. We're adults. We're done with chores, right? That's how we feel. So when we say I get to do this, thinking it as a blessing that you have that opportunity to do the great things that you're able to do. I think that that's so important. It all starts with that energy. And if we have this, I have to do this, I have to, it sounds like a like a negative feeling. The energy is negative. But when we get that joy and appreciation and that gratitude for the things that God has placed on our hearts to be able to do, or that we have this job opportunity, that we get to go to this work, that we get this paycheck, it changes everything. When we tell our children, mom has to go on this call. Mom has to go to work. Mom has to. It makes it sound negative. In fact, I think that 77, last I heard, 77% of professionals are burned out because of the way that they talk to themselves. They're so burnt out because what they do is, like I said, going back again, they pick up the phone right when they wake up. No, spend that morning time, do your meditation, do whatever you do. And if you pick up your phone to listen to some positive, inspiration, that's fine. But as you're getting ready, all the things, but don't think about the work that you have to do. There's a time and a space for that. That's when your schedule comes in. Like, when am I going to work? Okay, when you're at work, then you do your work. Not when you're away from work, don't think about the work. Be intentional. I have my Shine principles that talk about that, but be intentional about what you're doing. Be present. When you're in the shower, enjoy your shower. Don't think about all the other things that have to get done. In fact, that was one of the hardest things. I was in the shower and I'd be thinking about all these things, and I'm like, no, started listening to music in the shower. It changes everything. It changes you're singing, you're not thinking about all the thousand things. When you're in the car driving to work, think about how beautiful it is to watch the sunrise or, listening to your music and the fact that you have the ability to drive. Most people don't, there's people out there who can't drive, who don't have a car, who don't have these luxuries. Appreciate everything that you have. You also talked about how you give yourself some time to transition, like the vibration plates and all that stuff like that, which I think is amazing. I love my vibration plate too. We are always scheduling ourselves so busy. We're like, okay, 8 o'clock this time, 9 o'clock next meeting, 10 o'clock. And even today, you and I almost had an overlap in meeting, and then we allowed ourselves some space for that. What we do is we try to jam pack our day so much, but we don't give ourselves time to transition, and we don't give ourselves like buffer time. And what I say by buffer time, get that time in case a meeting goes over and things like that. Give yourself some that buffer time, but then we also need that transition time. If you're had a bad meeting at work, or you could just got off a bad call, and then you go to your next call right away, you're taking that negative energy there. The same
Yep.
thing when you go to work. When you go to work or you come home from work, if you're driving in traffic and traffic's a little bit horrible, don't just hurry up and jump out of your car. Sit in your car for a little bit. Um, or go outside, right before you go walk in that front door, go outside, get some of that sunlight in, get some of that, good light, vitamin D in, and just be at peace, count, do some breath work, and then go into, your house or whatever, because you don't want to give that negative energy from the traffic or the negative energy from the meetings to the next place. And I think that that's what's so important. And when you're present, like if you're with your family or you're at work, give your work your full attention, because when we are really focused on what the things that we need to do is learning how to be focused and get that activity done, it'll happen a lot faster than when we're like, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I want to see what's going on here. Oh, I wish I'd have to do, like all of these things. Just focus. Put yourself on a 25-minute timer and see how much you can get done, and then take a 5-minute break. And then go back 25 minutes and then take a 5-minute break. You will get so much more done than when you're dragging and procrastinating and worrying about everything else but what you have to do. It's just easier to get it done. And what I like to call it is eat the frog, right? Do the hardest thing first in the morning.
I
Because then
love
you're not
that.
worrying about it all day long, right? You're just going to hurry up and get it done. That stuff's done off your plate. Let's go to the next thing.
I've never heard that before. Eat the frog. Eat the
Uh-huh.
frog. Just eat
Yeah.
the frog. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. And I can relate so much. I come from like literally I will start getting ready 3 hours before it was the time. And I'm like, not anymore. I thought I needed that much time frame to be ready. Now it's like now everything flows. And it's so relief, but it started by just doing little things, little steps to get to the point that now it's everything aligned and everything, and I'm doing things in the present moment. But it wasn't always like this. It took time for me to regulate my nervous system, to also allow myself to do things that were helping me to create that space for me. So when we overlap, and I said, oh, well, I could do probably 12, but no, I don't know if we're going to extend. We have a beautiful 20 women joining us. I want to give them the opportunity to speak. And I said, you know what? Yeah, I think one, it will allow me to go and do anything I want, breathe, and then come back and then be here in our present moment, enjoying and look at us right now. Just relax, enjoying our time. I love that. Um, what if you could leave our audience today for anyone watching? Thank you so much, Heather Farm. She says, "Hi, ladies. Thank you for sharing. I love you. Thank you so much. I love Heather. She's always amazing." If you could leave our audience with one truth about love and success, what would it be?
Mm. I think that I want to share the one thing about love and success is it all starts with what I call my foundational shine principles. It is
Mhm.
something that has helped me through the toughest times. I use it all the time. I use it daily. And you kind of touched on this on your morning call this morning. And it wasn't my time to talk. It was after I had talked, but it is shine. It's my shine principles. And that is show up. Just got to show up. Show up not for everybody else, but show up for you. Show up for the woman in front of you. Look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, I'm thankful that you're here. Show up for you. H is have good habits. We have to look at our habits. Habits are everything. It goes back to what you were saying. Like, you have to be intentional about your time. You have to have those good habits. It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to go from, you know, my poor time management and all of a sudden the next day you're going to be perfect. It's a constantly, it's stacking those habits, being consistent. And so you got to look at your habits. What are you doing? What time do you go to bed? What are those things that you're doing that are stealing your time? Are you maybe watching too much Netflix? And I'm not saying Netflix is bad. You
No.
can watch Netflix and you can fold your laundry. You can watch Netflix and you can wash the dishes. Like, there's ways that you can balance that. Those are the only time I recommend multitasking, though. I will tell you that. But also, my I stands for intentional. Be intentional. Be intentional for what you're working on. Be intentional about your goals. When you're sitting down to work on that project, be intentional. Be present. Be intentional when you're with your family. Don't worry about all the other things. It's just that intentionality speaks volumes. And then my N, never give up. Never give up on the goals that God has placed in your heart. Never give up on the dreams that you desire. Never give up on loving yourself and showing up for you. And then my E is every day celebrate those wins. Every day. If you woke up and you made your bed, you celebrate that win. What we do is we're waiting for the big things. We're waiting for the big figure amounts, the high ticket items that we're going to sell, all of these other things. What about every day that we showed up? Every day that we showed up today, that we put the post on? Because sometimes we get hesitant on even posting out there, even sharing our story. Let's just celebrate that we woke up, we've talked to people, we made that connection, we showed up on our stories, we connected with people. I celebrated after we got off the call today. I celebrated and I shared it in my stories that I celebrate that I showed up for a networking event, because I always had that fear of, am I going to fit in? Is it going to work out? What if I don't have anything to offer? I celebrated it. I did a little dance, and I even shared it in my stories that I celebrated. So celebrate those wins. It could be the little things, but you know what? Those little things add up to big things. And so those are the things we need to do. And so that's what I say is follow these shine principles so that you have that love for yourself. And when you can love yourself, you can love others.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for that. It's amazing. And and it's for all of us. We show up for ourselves first and then for anyone around us, and it's contagious and it just
Mhm.
creates that amazing um that amazing atmosphere. Your community grows, everyone is happier, you're attracting more aligned clients, you're selling full of energy and love, and everything is just like easier. It's just it's beautiful. I mean, I can't stress this enough, and let's continue to celebrate. And that's what we're here about, just to always come together as community members and also as entrepreneurs, because I know how hard it is. And in time management, it's so important in our life. And telling me, I mean, coming from me, that I thought that I had to get ready like 3 hours before because I thought I would not make it in time, or I will make it to places like an hour before and I'll just sit in my car. I'm like, what is wrong with you, girl? Get it together. And nowadays it's like, just like I get on. I remember my first calls when I first started doing my Zoom meetings, doing energetic healing virtually. I will get on that Zoom call like 30 minutes or 45 minutes there just to look at my camera and look at myself. Now it's like I just come in whenever the time. It just takes time, right? And to allow yourself to take those process. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to jump in the wagon, the bridge. You might fall off and come back. The good thing is that when you get on that bridge, you're not at the last time you started. No, you're actually right there on the spot where you left off, and you continue until you break through. Next thing you know, it becomes a habit, and here you are. And for the ones watching, it only takes 21 days to create that habit. And why not just start trying little things? Don't feel bad. Be kind to yourself, because I know how it is to fall off and come back. And it's okay. There's no right or wrong as long as you continue to try. And every day it's another day for you to continue to try. I love this. Thank you so much. One thing. Um, one thing, where can people find you?
Okay, well, they can find me on social media. My name is Angelina Rivera, obviously. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is the.angelina.rivera. But also just my website. If you go to my website, it has links to free resources. It has you can book a free discovery call, and it also has links to all my social media, and that would be www.angelinarivera.com. And when you spell Angelina, it's angel, because I'm an angel, and then INA, and then Rivera, which is river, and then A.com.
That's why I say mine. Blanca, Angelica, River, River with an A, because they tend to say Riviera.
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
that too, right? I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
I love it. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Angelina. I want to ask you one last question that I normally always end up with something amazing, and is the world needs more of what? What is your heart calling right now?
The world needs more of people loving each other, just loving and wanting to hear each other, sharing their stories and compassion. It's just basically compassion. We have all been through some tough times. We're not all perfect. We've all made mistakes. We've all made, the wrong choices at times, but just have some compassion. I think that it's so crazy that people will judge you for one bad mistake or one bad thing, but they're not looking at the mirror and seeing what are the things that I have done wrong too. I think that compassion is something that I am truly wanting to share, and that's more of why I started my podcast, is like, what is the compassion, what are the stories that people have been sharing? Like, maybe people have made some mistakes, or maybe they've had, like, trauma that they've been through, and how did they refine to shine their light, and just share their story. And the compassion is like, where this world right now is in so much hurt. I mean, you can't even go on social media without somebody voicing their political opinion or all these other things, and just have that compassion. It's so easy to lose everything from, like for me, my government, I'm a government employee, and it was so easy. My world was turned upside down. Not to have hate for that, but just have compassion that, okay, what is God giving me to do? Uh, what's the resources that I can take? What coaching can I do? And just all of these other things that just kind of like the compassion for each other, instead of not fighting over political views and fighting over it. Like, we're all hurting, we're all, in some type of fashion. Just compassion, hug that person, tell that person hello in the store, tell that person, have a good day. Just those little things go so far, and so just have compassion.
Yeah, a small compliment. I love going, like, I'm a magnet for people, so every time I walk into a space, I know that someone either says hello or I have to actually say hello because they look at me and I'm like, oh my God, you look so cute. It's so beautiful, but the resemblance in their face, their demeanor changes, and why not? I mean, why not? Why not? It doesn't hurt. It just takes 1 second to just
Mhm.
change someone's life. Thank you so much, Angelina, for reminding us healing, the harmony. It's not found in hustle. We could actually have time management, find ourselves, create that environment so that we could actually enjoy our time with also with our family, our kids, and be always in that sacred space where you could just actually co-create in peace and harmony and joy. It's so important, so important. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me to interview you today. It's been a pleasure. We had so much fun at Cafe Latte. Thank you for coming on board, and we will also go live on Cafe Latte next month for anyone watching. If you are still watching live, you're more than welcome to continue to comment. If not, if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay, and we could come back to you. I will tag Angelina so you know where to find her and find her website, because she could also help you have that time management. For the ones that don't know me, my name is Blanca Angelica Rivera. I am known as Blangelica, and oh my gosh, I do a lot of things, but I'm passionate about helping people embody love to the max and create the life, the relationship, and the business they desire because you deserve it all. Thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure coming to you live and sharing so many spaces with these beautiful people that I meet around the world. So thank you so much, Angelina, and I will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Did it stop streaming?